you are about to listen to is me, Pastor Michael Bowman, as I think out loud about and try to apply the scripture to anything and everything that comes to mind. This usually happens in my car, so jump in and let's talk. My wife and I have a small farm. Some of you know that. I don't know that everybody that listens to this knows that. And we love it. It's been a great blessing to us. I have the personal goal of working toward self-sufficiency. When I say self-sufficiency, sometimes that comes off as like self-reliance or something where like you're not connected with anyone else, or you don't have connections with other people in such a way that they can help provide for you. And I don't mean that. I don't mean like be insulated in such a way that we as a family will never talk to anybody else or something like that. What I mean is that I want us to be able to maintain our lives with the food that we need, the basic things that we need. I want us to have the skills and ability to do that probably in the next 4 to 4.5 years. I'd like to be at that point. Will we make it? I don't know. But I want to be able to raise all of our own food if we wanted to. And we are moving in that direction and have been moving in that direction for the last several years. But I thought it'd be fun to share some things that I feel like I've learned simply by engaging in the farm life, in agriculture, especially thinking about the various ways that Scripture uses agricultural images and images of various animals to describe our relationship to God. I just thought that this could be kind of a fun reflection for me, and you can listen in. So hopefully it is that for you. One of the most recent things that I feel like I've come to understand deeper and better is about the idea that Scripture speaks of God at times as a mother hen that will gather her chicks under her wings. And it's this image of protection, of love, of care. And I never really understood that, if I'm honest. It's not that I didn't. I understood the basic idea, but I had never really seen a mother hen with chicks. Most of the time that we've raised chicks over the last few years, we would incubate them ourselves. We would or order them as chicks and simply put them in a mobile tractor, which is what you call kind of a mobile chicken coop, and that was about it. But this year, for the first time, we let some of our chickens go broody and hatch their own eggs. And the first day that one of these hens came out with these little chicks that would stay right next to her, and the moment that you'd walk over by her, she'd put out her wings, and all of the chicks would gather tightly underneath her, and she would, peck at and keep away anything that tried to attack them. Honestly, it sounds strange because chickens, maybe you think different, but I don't think chickens are a particularly beautiful animal. I don't think, that highly of them. I love chickens, but just as an animal, they're not like a majestic creature to me that I could just, be kind of amazed by. This was amazing. The first time I saw this, I thought almost like I could cry. I wasn't going to, but I felt like almost I could, because it was so beautiful. This mother with her chicks, and we liked it so much, and we thought, wow, this is so much how it's supposed to be. We thought maybe we'll try to do as little incubating ourselves for now on, because this is just right. It's as much. This is going to sound so romanticized, and I don't know how better to put it, but it felt as much as it was something that I learned. Like it felt right. This just seemed like the kind of thing that fits with the world and how things are supposed to be. And so it was beautiful. So I just learned a little bit deeper how beautiful this image is of the Lord gathering his people. like a mother hen gathers her chicks. Also, throughout Scripture, we are spoken of as like we are sheep. And you've probably heard many analogies and what sheep are like and everything like that. We've had sheep once before, and we just recently purchased some more sheep again. And our intent is to start up basically a sustainable flock. We'll see if we can do it. But there were several things that I would regularly notice with our sheep that I thought are good analogies for the way that we are. And this is not as much, I guess you would say that this is, helping me to understand Scripture in maybe a slightly deeper sense. But it's more so just carrying the analogy even further with what we are like often as compared to sheep. We as believers are like sheep in a lot of different ways. And there are two things that I specifically just keep in my mind and remember. And especially as a pastor, as an under shepherd of the Good Shepherd, I keep these two things in my mind pretty regularly of what we are like. Number one, there was a time that we had to move a bunch of our sheep from kind of up on top of a hill down into pasture. And we set up a fence and we opened up this, fencing unit that we had all of the sheep in up on top of this hill. And then we tried to bring them down. And we tried using a halter where, you kind of more or less put a leash on the sheep and tried to bring them down. And some of them did okay with that. Some of them simply followed us and came down. There was one ewe that was so stubborn. No matter what you tried to do, we had a halter on her, and we tried everything. We tried pushing and pulling and just dragging this sheep, this ewe, and she would fight it like crazy, and we could not get her to move. And finally we said, let's just take off the halter and just back away and just watch what she does. And by this point, a couple of the other sheep were already down in the pasture. And so we just took the halter off, and we literally just backed up and walked away. And she just walked straight down into the pasture where she was supposed to be. And I thought this is a good analogy for, pastoral work, but also just, interpersonal conflict and things like that, and for relationships, relational, difficulties. There are some times when some people, you cannot force them to do something. And we want to drag somebody, we want to force them to do something. Sometimes as a pastor, you want to force people to do what you think is right. And it's just not the way to go. There are times that you have to put a halter on somebody and lead them. But there are many times when simply backing up and letting go is actually going to be the best option. This is true, like I said, in just relationships in general, I think. But I do think that this is one particular way where, sheep can be an analogy for how we act. This is the second, and what, I will leave it with today. I'm sure that I can think of more of these. But another thing that I notice all the time is that we had these sheep in this kind of mobile pen, I guess you could call it, with cattle panels all around it, and we would just drag it across the field. And when you would drag them from one part of the field into the next with brand new grass, beautiful kind of lush pasture, you would drag them into it. They would have all this grass to eat, and the first thing they would do would be to stick their heads out the sides of the fencing and push as far as they could to get the grass that was way outside of the boundaries that they'd been given. They had just been given this massive feast, and they would still try to push outside and get out of these panels that we had established around them. And, ultimately these panels are for their protection. It was to keep predators from them. It was to keep them safe. It was to keep them close. And I thought often about how this is what we are like too, right? God has given us his word. He's given us this lush green pasture. And what do? We want something else. We want something more. We want something different. We want to push the bounds that he has put. We want to push outside of his law and live in a different way, as though we know what we are doing. We know what is better for us than he does. And we're constantly trying to do that. And so even when he puts us on that, lush green pasture, we have that natural inclination to push out of it, right? To go elsewhere. So these are just thoughts as I was driving today that I thought, this is maybe something that would be good to share. It really is true. As you engage in natural revelation, it does help in various ways to understand special revelation. Hey guys, I hope this has been helpful for you. If it has been, go ahead and rate it, review it, or share it with a friend, especially if you're in La Crosse, Wisconsin, or the surrounding areas. That helps me expand the audience and hopefully increase the impact of these ideas. If you have any questions, thoughts, or concerns on anything that I just talked about, you can reach me at pastormichaeljbowman@gmail.com. You can find more content from me, as well as information about the church that I pastor at ccc-pca.org. With that, I hope you can enjoy the many blessings of God today. Until next time.